Hare Krishna. So we'll start with prayers. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shri Pashtacya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनन्तकोटि वैष्णववृन्द की जय, जगद्गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। Right. Okay. So yesterday, we discussed that Lava and Kusha, they both were reciting Ramayana in Ayodhya, and Lord Ramachandra, he saw them and he called over them to his palace, and he made them recite again. So they started the recitation, and the first thing that they recite is about the glories of the greatness of the Ayodhya kingdom. Okay, then 1 minute. Yeah. So although the Ayodhya was so opulent, nobody was having any worry. But Dasharatha Maharaj, he did not have any progeny or kids. So he understood that because of his bad karma and sins, he is not having the kids. That's what he thought, and he performed. He wanted to perform this Ashwamedha Yajna. So he called all of his ministers and also the Brahmanas, his Purohita, the priests, and his spiritual master. All of them he called, and he put forward his thoughts, and they all felt very happy, and they blessed him. They said, Sarvaishwarya Yottare Tire Yajna Bhumi Vidhiyatam Sarvatha Prapsyase Putranam Abhipretamscha Parthiva Yasyate Dharmiki Buddhiriyam Putrarthamagata. They said, O king, by all means you will beget sons, just as you desire. So let the ritual ground or the sacrificial arena, the sacrificial yajna arena, let that be arranged on the northern banks of Saragyu River. So when great devotees or when great sages, when they bless or when they speak something, actually whatever they speak will become truth. It's not that they say the truth, whatever they talk, great Vaishnavas, whatever they talk will become the truth. So after meeting these ministers and all of them, the king, then he informed his queens also that I'm going to perform the Vedic ritual, this Ashwamedha sacrifice for getting the sons, and all of us should take the vow. So there is a vow before you can't just live a materialistic life today and then just tomorrow you start the yajna. No, there is a vow. So just like how we fast, right? Like that, there is a vow of taking this yajna and the refrain from a lot of materialistic activities. They spend more time about thinking about the Lord. So all that they do. At that time, Sumantra, Sumantra is one of the ministers of Dasharatha Maharaj. He came to the king and he said, "Oh, my dear king," he said, "I heard a conversation between Sanat Kumaras long time ago." This is a conversation between Sanat Kumaras. What is that? Kashyapasya cha putrosti vibhandaka iti shrutaha rishyashringa iti khyatasya tasya putro bhavishyati savane nitya samvriddho munir vanacharaha sada. So there is a sage, his name is Kashyapa Rishi, and his son is Vibhandaka Rishi. And Vibhandaka Rishi's son is Rishyashringa Maharshi. So this Rishyashringa Maharshi will grow up in the forest and he'll be dwelling in the forest. And until unless he is invited to perform the Ashwamedha sacrifice by Dasharatha, he will not beget the sons. So this was a conversation Sanat Kumaras were having, and Sumantra heard it through other means. Like someone heard that conversation, that person informed Sumantra, like that. So then Dasharath Maharaj inquired Sumantra, "Can you tell me more about Rishyasringa? Who is he? How is he born?" All that. So then he explains that Vibhandaka Maharshi is the son of Kashyapa, and he was already living the life of a Vanaprastha in the forest. So every afternoon or morning, afternoon and the evening, so he would go to the river and he would take bath, then come back and he would do the Sandhya Vandanam, evening Sandhya. So one of that times when he was taking bath, what happened was Urvasi. Urvasi is Urvasi is one of the Apsaras, okay, celestial damsel who lives in the Swargaloka. So she passed by. So every personality, like who is above the earthly planets, upper planetary systems, they will be much more beautiful, much more handsome than the people in the lower planets. So when these sages, they are done with all this lust and all that of the earthly planet, and sometimes Indra is afraid, because if those sages, if they perform more and more tapasya, those sages can even take the position of Indra. So Indra sends some of the damsels from his courtyard to go and disturb, because he knows that because of their tapasya, no beauty on the earth can actually attract him. So he sends damsels from his planet. But when the rishi is very, very strong, sometimes he asks Brahma to send a damsel from his planet, because Satyaloka is the topmost planet, and there the beauty is of the topmost level in this material universe. So Urvashi is an Apsara from higher planetary system, and she was passing by. The moment he saw Vibhandaka Rishi, he saw her, he, within a second, he felt attracted to her, and as he was taking bath, he discharged his semen in the flowing river. So this is against the nature. Whenever a person is very lusty or something, if he takes bath immediately, whenever he gets the contact from the water, that lust and all those things comes down. But here it became the opposite. So that means that there are some great personalities. His appearance is there. That's why it is this happened. So this semen of Vibhandaka Maharshi was flowing in the river, and nearby a deer was drinking the water. And that deer consumed this semen, and it became pregnant. So in other Puranas, it is mentioned who that deer is. The deer was none other than in the previous life. It is uh, Chitralekha. Chitralekha is one of the dancer in the courtyard of Indra. So one time the Chitralekha was dancing in front of Indra, and because Indra Lok, it's also a planet. There are not just him, he's got an entire planet. So he has got his plants and trees and animals there. So this Chitralekha was dancing for the pleasure of Indra, but somehow a deer which was passing by in the Swargalok caught her attention, and she was looking at that deer and dancing. So Indra, he got it. Oh, he said that's an insult actually. When you are dancing for the master, you're supposed to look at him and do it. That's an etiquette. So he said, okay, you looks like you're so much attracted to a deer. So next life, immediately I curse you, that not curse you. Immediately you will become a deer. And Chitralekha said, I'm very sorry, please forgive me. I did not mean to have it. Somehow it caught my attention. And said, don't worry. There is a reason why that had happened. Because you will become again the deer in the Bhuloka. But right after you give birth to Rishyasringa, you will come back. You will come back to the Swargaloka. So this deer became pregnant and it delivered the baby. And when it delivered the baby, the mother deer passed away, and it assumed the real form of Chitralekha, and she went back to the Swargaloka. So this baby was born with the body of Vibhandaka Maharshi. Vibhandaka Maharshi is a human form, but his head has the horns of a deer, just as a mother. So, and he delivered this boy was delivered near to the ashrama of Vibhandaka Muni. So when the baby was crying alone, so he heard it and he saw, who is that? And then he saw the baby was crying, delivered by a deer, and deer was lying down there next, dead. And that is it's not a normal thing. So he went into a deep meditation and he saw what had happened. Oh, this baby is none other than my own son. And this deer had given the birth, and it has by the boon of Indra, it has gone back to the Indralok. So he is none other than my son. So he brought him, and he was taking care of the baby nicely. So here Valmiki Maharshi says, Pitu sanitya santushto nati chakrama chashramat natena janma prabhrati drishtapurvam tapasvina striva pumanva yachanyat sattvam nagara rashtrajam. So this baby was as he was growing, right, this boy, he never came out of that forest area. Always he used to only move around the hermitage, or he used to stay in the hermitage, and he used to help his father, serve his father. He has not seen any female or a male person or even any other objects of pleasure, just like in the city or in the countryside. They would not, there are so many objects of pleasures, right? So he has never seen any object of pleasure because he's living in a hermitage. And what will be there in the hermitage? Just a very simple things, just to survive there and spend most of the time in the self-realization. So from his time of birth, He has never visited any city nor any countryside. He has never seen a person apart from his father. And at this time, what happened was, there is a kingdom called Anga Desham. Okay, one of the kingdom is Anga. And it is told that why Anga means in Sanskrit your body parts. The different body parts are called Anga. So Manmatha, he lost all his body parts by the fire emanating from the third eye of Shiva here in this, and all those body parts fell down in this kingdom, and that's why it's called Angadesham. So the king of Angadesha was Romapada, and he did a mistake. He committed a mistake towards a Brahmana. And what mistake was that? So normally it is the culture of every king to profusely give donations to all the needy people, all the Brahmanas and all the needy people. So he was giving, charity. He was distributing a lot of things in charity. And one of the Brahmana came, very poor Brahmana. He saw and the king gave some things, few things in donation to him, some charity. And he thought, oh, the king is giving the charity. My son, he's so poor. He's in poverty-stricken condition. Let me bring him so that he may also get at least one cow or something. That's it. Actual Brahmana will never expect more. He will only take as much as it is required. A real Brahmana will never hoard any wealth or this thing for his sense gratification. He may store and all that for a temple, for Krishna purpose, but not for his sense gratification. So he thought, okay, because the king is giving this charity, let me bring my son also. So he brought his son there for this. And when he brought his son, told my son, okay, as you're giving charity, please give some charity to my son also. Immediately the king, he laughed at it. He laughed. Why he laughed? He laughed because thinking in his mind, oh, these Brahmanas, they will never get satisfied. He committed an offense. And that Brahmana could understand why he laughed. Immediately he cursed. You see, the way you have insulted me here in this assembly, right? I have felt very bad. I got offended. I brought my son here because you are giving charity to everyone. And he is in such a poverty-stricken condition. It is your duty to make sure that all the Brahmanas are taken care nicely in your kingdom. And because we are also part of your kingdom, in fact, you need to take care of us. Every sacrifice that we do, 1/6 of sacrifice, we are offering it to you. So it is your duty to take care of us. And because of this, only I got my son. And I did not just come. You are giving the charity. That's why I brought my son. So how I felt so much bad and I felt offended. Similarly, you will also feel it. All your sons, that means his sons are nothing but the citizens. So in a kingdom, the king is considered to be the father and the queen is considered to be the mother. We have 7 mothers. One of them is the queen. So it's your duty. Now, your sons are all this praja. So this praja will also cry. And you will have to go through that pain. And he immediately left from that place. So then a great famine came to this kingdom, and everybody were starving, no food, no water, no rain. That time immediately Rishishringa realized that he has committed an offense. So he asked his Purohita, other his spiritual master, guru, priest, everyone, what can we do? At that time they say that only if Rishishringa steps into your kingdom, only then there will be rain in this country, in this kingdom. So he realized his mistake. He paid obeisances to those brahmanas, to that brahmana. He asked forgiveness, but a curse is a curse. So now it is still now what to be done. So now Rishishringa will not just come here. So he understood who is Rishishringa. Rishishringa is the great Vibhandaka Maharshi's son. And if he just goes there and invites him, no, please come. And so those sages are not there for just to give material benedictions. And his father will first of all curse him. Why? How can you laugh like that? You have insulted a Brahmana. So I will not even enter where there is an insult of Brahmana had taken place. It is just like this. Suppose one of your parent or someone has been insulted in someone's house. A person should actually, the parents, whoever that person is, his son or his children or anyone related to him, close to him, they would not go to that house again because that person got insulted, right? Similarly, because Romapad king, he insulted, again Vibhandaka Muni, and they can see what is the truth. So they will not enter. So how to make them step into this? So what he did is he sent some, the society girls, prostitutes, the most beautiful prostitutes from his kingdom, to go and allure Rishishringa. And they know very well, even this, that they're very intelligent, that the moment if the Vibhandaka Maharshi, he says he will curse. So what these girls used to do is, they used to roam around the hermitage and just keep singing nice songs. Suddenly, if Vibhandaka Maharshi sees, maybe they can say, "Oh, this is your hermitage, I'm very sorry, we will go away." They can say like that. So they were going around and around, trying to meet Rishishringa. And one day, obviously, Rishishringa also heard, "Oh, where is this nice singing coming?" He has never heard any song, anything, any pleasurable thing in his life. So he was that pure. He was pure in his words, in his minds, in his activities, everything. A very celibate brahmachari he was. And he came to the youth already by that time. And he had horns. So the Rishishringa, he heard, "Oh, where is this sound coming from?" And he tried to travel, he tried to walk in that direction. On that day, Vibhandaka Maharshi was not there in the hermitage. He went a little far distance. So taking that as an advantage, these girls, they came little closer to the hermitage and they were singing. And Rishishringa himself came out, and he said, Rishishringa, for the first time, he's seeing another human. And immediately because he has learnt all the Vedas, everything from his father, so he knew, okay, so immediately that he has to give a nice hospitality to them. See, in English, we don't have these words, but in Hindi or in any of the Indian languages, there is a difference between how you talk, or how you address a male and how you address a female. the what do you call the nouns or the verbs, the words that are used. See, in English, until unless you say he or she, you will not understand whether it was a male or female. But in the Indian languages, the speech, the sentences itself will tell whether that person was referring to a male or a female. So this Rishishringa was talking to them just in the Pullinga. Pullinga is the masculine words. Strilinga is a feminine, and Napunsaka is any things it can be, which cannot be categorized as a male or a female. Anything, any thing it can be. So he was addressing, Rishishringa was addressing these women, these girls, as a he, and talking to them just like friends. Oh, please come, please, step into our hermitage and bless us by your presence. So as if they're great sages, like he was talking in that front. And they also spoke very nicely. They speak, oh, Rishishringa asked, where do you live? Oh, we live here in the Anga Desha. So you can come, sometimes you can come there and meet us, all that. So they had a very nice conversation. Rishishringa offered some food also, some prasadam. So what prasadam he would have? Because he's living in a forest, he will normally have some roots, some shoots, or some flowers, fruits. That's all. So he brought all of them, he offered them to the guests. And he said, no. They said, no, it's fine, it's okay, no problem. We were just going around. It's when you want to meet us, why don't you come there? So she said, yeah, sure, we'll come. I'll come one day, maybe, if I wanted to. So when these girls were leaving from that place, what they did is, all of them together, they hugged Rishishringa, immediately left that place, and they came to Angadesha. Now, when they hugged, certain hormonal changes happened in his body. And it was so weird for him. And he didn't understand, what is this kind of a strange attraction I'm getting to these humans. He's still saying, if you see the shlokas, he says them as boys, as a he. Why am I getting a strange attraction to them? So somehow his mind was filled with that. And next day, he waited, that he thought that they will come, but they didn't come. So he walked towards, because they gave the address also, how to come to Angadesha. That's the most important thing, right? For Rishishringa to at least step into the kingdom of Anga. So he came back, he walked towards the Angadesha. And then he stepped into the kingdom of Anga. The moment he stepped into the kingdom, immediately the entire kingdom was flooded with rain. There were no actual floods, but was having a downpour of the rain. And the king understood this. Oh, Rishishringa has stepped into a kingdom. So king and his family, everyone, they went running towards Rishishringa, because now he understood by experience that making a joke or a fun of a Brahmana is not an ordinary thing. And obviously he's a sage. He'll get to know why the plans that were there behind, how to bring Rishishringa into his kingdom. So immediately he comes and falls at the feet of Rishishringa and says, you must please forgive me. First of all, forgive me. He says, I don't understand why you're asking me. I said, no, you just have to forgive me. Thank you for coming. But you have to forgive me for all my offenses. He said, don't worry, I will forgive you. It's okay. And he also said, also your father also should forgive me. Forgive all of us. He said, yeah, sure, because I'm his son, So when the son all forgives, he also speaks on the behalf of his father, of his forefathers, because the sons are representative of his father and forefathers. That is why, when any sin is done or when something wrongdoing is done, even the forefathers, they get affected. If anything good thing is done, right, the forefathers also get liberated. Actually, if the one of the son in their lineage is a great devotee, their forefathers also get liberated. As Narsimha says to Prahlad Maharaj, that all your, I think, 14 generations of your forefathers are liberated. Prahlad Maharaj asks, can you please forgive my father? Narsimha says, why only your father? All your forefathers, 14 generations or 21 generations, they will all get liberated. So if it's very important that that a family raises the children in the right consciousness. So Rishishtranga Maharshi said, sure, my father, on behalf of my father also, I have forgiven you. And he invited them. I invited Rishishtranga to his kingdom, and he also get his daughter Shanta. So Romapada Maharaj's daughter is Shanta. So Shanta, he gets married to Rishishtranga. That also he does it immediately, because now Romapada is like a father-in-law to him. So he'll not be able to curse. And he surrendered everything to him. So this is the story that Sumantra explains to Dhritarashtra. And it is not part of the Valmiki Ramayana. It's there in other Ramayana that Shanta is actually an adopted daughter of Romapada. And whose daughter is she? She is actually the daughter of Dasharatha. So Dasharatha had, it says in Ramayana, it comes in when Sita Devi was abducted at that time, but before that time, Rama says to Lakshmana and others that at that time only. So Rama says that, all my stepmoms, and he gives the number 350 stepmoms, they'll be very angry with me. So he mentions that Dasharath Maharaj had nearly 350 wives. And principal of those wives are the three queens. The first one is Kausalya, second principal queen is Sumitra, and the third one is Kaikeyi. Kaikeyi is the youngest. So one may ask the question, why did Dasharatha Maharaj marry so many queens? And by this time, when we are talking, by this time, Dasharatha Maharaj is already 60,000 years old. So he is in the transition period between the Treta Yuga and the Satya Yuga. Satya Yuga, the average lifespan of a human is 1 lakh years or 100,000 years. When it comes to Treta Yuga, it is 10,000 years. So he was in that transition period. So Dasharatha Maharaj lived that long, and he still did not have any sons who can take over this kingdom and rule. So you see, and this was the same time when Parashurama was also there. So this is not part of the Ramayana. It's not part of the Valmiki Ramayana. It is there in other Ramayana that Parashurama was circling around the entire globe of the earth 21 times, killing all kinds of rogue kings who were not following the dharma, who became averse to our Vedas, and who became like a demons. So he vanquished such royal order. So every time, whenever Parshurama comes like this 21 times, every time he, not just 21 times, he came many times. Uh, he had a rule that if that king is getting married, or that he would not kill or he would not fight with that king. So when Dasharatha Maharaj used to understand that, because Parashurama is coming, so he immediately would go and try to get married. That's one of the reasons why he acquired that many wives. Only a king is allowed, someone in the royal order is allowed to marry more women, not in other varnas. The reason being is, when you marry, you have to make sure that every other spouse is also exactly taken care like the principal spouse. And it is allowed in the that one may can take more spouses, because there was a gender imbalance always. The men used to go to the war, they used to get killed. So there were many women left. So whenever there is a gender imbalance, then the head of the society or whoever is ruling, so it's not always the king will have, like how a state will have the cities, or will have the counties, and then will have further cities, all this. Like that, they have their own rulings of geographic places. And whoever is the head of that county or head of the city or the mayor, he has to agree also that, okay, this person can marry the second time. All these rules and regulations were there. So only when there's a gender imbalance, yes, a person is allowed, that to by higher authority, to marry, to take a second wife. In fact, in Mahabharata, if you see, um, uh, when when the Pandavas were getting ready to perform a Rajasuya Yajna, all the four Pandavas, that is Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula, and Sahadeva, they were sent in 4 directions to go and conquer the world. So when Sahadev went towards the east, there he found that the women were having more husbands, more than one husband. And Agnidev personally tells to Sahadev that this is how it is there in this kingdom. They follow this kind of a rule. Again, all those, even today in Tibet, there's a documentary even in YouTube you can watch, that a woman accepts like more than at least minimum 1 husband, but normally in average they accept 3 husbands in Tibet. So anyways, coming back to the point where we left, so Dasharath Maharaj had these many wives, and one of the wife gave birth to Shanta. Okay, and Dasharath Maharaj already knew that he's going to have sons. Okay, I'll tell you later why he had a son, and I'll also tell you why he was so afraid of Parashurama, because we just now read that he was such a great ruler that everybody in Ayodhya were very happy. They were so happy, it is explained, that all the seasons are pleasurable. There was not too much cold, neither too much heat, neither too much of rain or too less of a rain. Everything was mild and pleasant and all through. So the people did not know when was the summer and when was the winter. They totally forgot. So that's how the king was. And question may raise, then why did he become so afraid of Parashurama? I will answer that later. So Shanta and both of them come together. Okay, how he got to know that he's going to have sons, and at the same time why he's afraid of Parashurama. Both the questions will be answered later in the series. So Dasharath Maharaj had a daughter called Shanta, And Romapada was very close friend to Dasharath Maharaj. So Romapada did not have any sons or any children at all. So he said, no, I don't have any children, so can I adopt your daughter? Dasharath Maharaj, yeah, sure. So that's when they say that Shanta was given to Romapada. So actually, if someone asks, is there someone who is a sister of Rama? Yes, it is Shanta. So this Shanta was adopted by Romapada and later got married to Rishyasringa. So Sumantra immediately tells to Dasharath Maharaj, see, he's also like your son-in-law. Okay, so you go to the Angadesha because he's very close friend. You tell him that you are doing this Ashwamedha sacrifice and you would need a Rishyasringa to come and perform this great sacrifice. Because I heard that, what is it? Evam sa deva pravaraha पूर्वं कथितवान् कथां सनत्कुमारो भगवान् पुरा devayuge prabhu. Sumantra is telling that they discussed this in Krita Yuga. That unless Dasharath Maharaj invites Rishyasringa, this Ashwamedha Yajna or Putra Kameshta Yajna will not be successful. So Dasharath Maharaj, he went to Angadesha, and 1 minute. Yeah. Yeah. So he went to Angadesha. He spoke to Romapad Maharaj, and he opened his heart to him. And Romapad Maharaj, yes, sure, definitely you take him. And father-in-law is also considered as one of your fathers. Like how we have, like, we say 7 mothers, like that there are 5 fathers. It's called Pitru Panchakam. Like bull is one of your father. If cow is your mother, bull is your father. Because it works very hard on the fields to plow the land and grow the grains. So it is considered as a father. So similarly, your father-in-law is also considered to be as one of your father. He falls under your Pitru Panchaka. So when Romapada ordered Rishyasringa, you should go to Ayodhya along with Dasharath Maharaj and perform this sacrifice. So immediately Rishyasringa said, yes, my dear father-in-law, I take your order just as my father has ordered me. So I will go with him and perform whatever the yajna they want me to perform, to do. So Dasharath Maharaj, again, he bade farewell to King Romapad, and he first sent, like it is said, like who run very quickly or who travel very quickly. He sent those messengers to Ayodhya to inform his citizens that Dasharath Maharaj is returning along with says Rishyasringa. And to invite such a great Brahmana, the great sage, like all the entire city was very well decorated. The streets were sprinkled with water and then they were swept. And not just any simple water, they were scented water. And how would you sprinkle highways? Does anyone have idea? Like Ayodhya, from the main palace, that there was a highway which was made of red stone itself. And that stone was always used to be, that it was a highway, and it used to be sprinkled with scented water. And it is mentioned it is 100 miles long. That long highway it is. Any ideas how the citizens would sprinkle that much of scented water on such a big highway? Any guesses?
Can you repeat the question, Prabhu?
No, how would how would the citizens of, or anyone, like it's mentioned that the highways are sprinkled with scented water in Ayodhya. All the streets are always sprinkled with scented water. But it is such a huge highway, such a long highway. How will they actually sprinkle the water and all over the highway? Because it's a tropical India, always dust. There is always dust, so people have to sprinkle water to settle the dust down. So how will they actually sprinkle the water? How would they have done it? Is the question clear?
Yes, Prabhu, but no idea.
See, if you sprinkle with your hands, you will take like millions of years to.
Yeah.
Yeah, then how will they have done it? They have used natural sprinkler only.
Oh.
Okay, I'll quickly.
Varun Deva.
Oh, Varuna Deva. But how will he give a scented water rain? Okay, I'll tell you. So they took, huge, big, no cans, or how would I say, drums, huge drums of filled with water, filled with scented water, and they would also take an elephant. So the elephant used to suck the water into his trunk and sprinkle. So they used elephants to sprinkle the scented water along the highways and the various streets in Ayodhya. So anyways, and as they were cleaning up all this, they decorated the Ayodhya very well, and they hoisted flags everywhere. So Dasharatha ordered all this have to be done before we are inviting Rishishringa. So that's how Rishishringa and comes along with Dasharatha Maharaj to Ayodhya. Okay. Then the sage Vasishtha was the guru of the entire Ikshvaku. So sage Vasishtha, he summoned all the priests and the Brahmin scholars. He summoned all the elderly architects. That means very mature, like highly intelligent architects, experienced architects. And to do what? To conduct all these rituals. Now, Ashwamedha sacrifice, he got the news. Okay, Rishishringa had agreed to come. So immediately he called for all the Brahmanas and architects, and the architects they were deployed, they were engaged in making the various pillars and the structures. So within few weeks, they have to start this. And for this week, what will happen? There'll be so many people coming from all over the world to see that sacrifice. So they were construction supervisors, they were brick makers, carpenters, earth, diggers, accountants, sculptors, all of them were employed. Even actors and dancers, the drama actors and dancers, they were also summoned. Then all the scholars, Brahmanas, who are like flawless in reciting the scriptures, and the devotees, and the purohitas, everyone were also invited. So in this way, all these people, different people, they came there. They started building the great arena of the sacrifice. See that sacrificial picture. The one that you are seeing, right? It's a small um, kunda, but actually, because that is just to fit the picture. But actual Homakunda is so large that even the animals, the great animals, are also put into that. That's why it's called sacrifice. Okay, and I will explain it. Oh, you one might think, oh, animals also go into the sacrifice. Yes, they do go, and that's why it's called ashwamedha. Ashwam means horse. Horse is sacrificed into the sacrificial pit. And is it not a jiva himsa, or is it not a violation against the laws? No, it is not. And I will explain that in detail in tomorrow's class, when I uh, explain this procedure of Ashwamedha Yajna. Okay, I'll stop here. Any questions?